You received a call from an inmate at the Department of Corrections. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Well, hello, Tina. How goes the war? Ah, yeah. Yeah, there's some things that we're just going to be fighting for the rest of our life, and that's one of them. Yeah, that's good. I mean, as long as you're banging that drum, they won't be able to ignore it. And one of the big problems we have as advocates out here is we'll get started on a nice project and we'll drum up support, and then interest disappears, and we don't hear anything else from it. And there's been a lot of good projects that's come up and a lot of good ideas that we could throw out there and get input on, but because the public suddenly is not interested anymore, it it fades. And maybe something will pop up and it'll come back. A good example is gun control. That's a big thing people fight, and then if nobody dies in a mass shooting or something, you don't hear about it. And if you want to resolve this, you got to keep talking about it, and you got to keep going until it is finally some kind of. It may not be the perfect solution, but at least most of the people will agree on something that can be done to at least address the issue. And crimes committed within the prisons by state officials, that's something we can't let stop. And out here, we have law enforcement that keeps an eye on things, and we have neighbors, community leaders, neighborhood watches. There's a lot that can report a crime out here, but you don't have that luxury locked up in prison. They'll go into a prison and commit a crime, and if you go and report it, they may write it off or dismiss it or ignore it, and that's just not right. And the only way to stop that is to have somebody keep an eye on these folks. And hopefully we can get an oversight committee or something similar to do that. But for now, we just got to keep it in the news. And I'm really, I'm really adamant about that because I've become a victim of some of these crimes, and I do have the advantage. I can report them, which I intend to do, and maybe just maybe that encourage other people to step forward. I know in a lot of incidences, especially like sexual assault, the people are embarrassed or scared to report them. But as other folks report it, especially those who were victimized by the same person, we get a little more response. And I'm working with people right now in the prison who have experienced some pretty bad traumatic experiences. And it would be nice to at least get somebody to listen to them and try to work with them on it. But I got to keep banging that drum. And I'm not going to
You
quit
have 60 seconds remaining.
until something comes along. Yeah. And that's it. Write letters, make phone calls, and just keep communicating. And your family and your supportive relationships, they're an excellent source. Yeah, I know there's a lot that you do, and it can get frustrating. But the only way you're going to lose this battle is if you give up. And
You have 30 seconds remaining.
and I have confidence in you. I know you can push this, and you know where to go. You know how to reach out to get some help, and take advantage of those. Right? Yeah, yeah. I did hear that they're trying to cut back on your access to the legal documents and stuff, but we're working on it. Okay. Well, you take care and keep working. Yes. All right.
Thank you for using Inmate Call. Goodbye.
Hello. Welcome to AQS Inmate Call. I am your host, Joel Wilborn. And in this episode, I want to discuss our perception of crime. Now, I think one of the things that holds us back from reducing crime and to appropriately offering resources to people who have been convicted of crime is the fact that we see it different ways in different states or different cities, different parts of the country. And we need to unite on our definition of crime. The first step to solving any problem is to identify the problem. If you don't know what you're fighting, you're not going to be able to handle it properly. And crime, believe it or not, can be misdefined, and it could be overlooked as well because we're not coming together on our definition of it. And I want to use the state of Washington as an example here, and it just kind of trickles down to the Department of Corrections. We have people from other countries that want to come to the United States for whatever reason. The border was opened up and they were allowed to come across and stay in the United States without being properly vetted. They don't have to go through the process and they don't have to have backgrounds and stuff. And a lot of them were given an opportunity to set up court dates so they can go in and explain why they want to stay in the United States, you know. And so this was a process that to me sounded good on paperwork, but a lot of people came over, and then there were people that were complaining that crimes were being committed or that it was unfair that resources that normally went to people who were in the United States legally were now getting their resources reduced or eliminated or misappropriated. There was just different problems, and people were just complaining on multiple sides. And the United States has a multiple party system, and each party had different views on it. And one of the things that we set up in the United States is sanctuary cities. So the people that came over and maybe neighbors or something were complaining and they were being probably harassed, they could go to these sanctuary cities where their status, whether legal or illegal, would not be questioned. They could just live like a citizen while they were awaiting their trial or maybe some kind of living arrangement or something. Now, with the new administration, sanctuary cities are a bad thing because the people that came across the border and are not citizens should be deported. And so people are going out looking for them, and if these people have committed crimes in their former country, committed crimes here, they should be immediately deported. And others should be put through a process where they could be listened to and their case could be heard. So it was a whole new process that come over with this new administration. Well, in the state of Washington, there's a few sanctuary cities, and the federal government is saying that if you hide people in these sanctuary cities so that federal agents can't go in and apprehend them, get them out of the state, get them out of the country, then we're going to withhold federal funding. Now, to give you an idea of the differences of how we see this, in the state of Washington, the people that are in these sanctuary cities that seek sanctuary, they're called undocumented immigrants, where the federal government calls them illegal aliens. Now, if you look at the two titles, one sounds less dangerous than the other. I guess a good way to put it. It's like you have an automatic weapon, and then you have the assault weapon. The assault weapon is designed to make it sound dangerous. This weapon is designed to assault or attack people, whereas a semi-automatic or an automatic weapon is just the way the weapon fires the ammunition. And people who buy weapons, they should be well trained. They should be responsible. They should make sure that it's properly stored so that children can't get it, or unauthorized people. And they should know how to handle the weapon and use the weapon. In the military, they teach you this stuff. Veterans shouldn't have problems with that, but there's a lot of people that are just fascinated by the weapon, and they'll buy one and they don't really know how to use it. So you have that common denominator, the person who misuses the weapon. It's not the weapon that's causing the problem. It's the way it's handled. And so when you compare that to your undocumented immigrant and your illegal alien, it's the way we handle them. I'm sure both sides, federal government, state government, individuals, all agree that people who are not a threat, people who are legitimate, people who want to get out of their native country, they're not the enemy. But maybe something they do will change all of that. And we're not necessarily going to say that that's going to make that big of a difference on how they're handled. Now, one side calls the President of the United States a convicted felon. I don't like throwing titles on people like that. It makes it look like they're lifetime criminals and they're never going to change. It's like calling an adult a baby. You know, I'm no longer a baby, I'm grown up. Oh, no, we're calling you a baby just because we want to. Well, let's say a convicted felon is a justice-involved individual. That doesn't sound as ominous as a convicted felon. So you have the President of the United States, who's a justice-involved individual on one side, and the other side calls him a convicted felon. One side, illegal alien, the other side, undocumented alien. Assault weapon, automatic weapon. And so, when we're presenting this to the public, and Governor Ferguson, he put out a statement, and I got this press release from him. And Governor Bob Ferguson responded to a threat by President Trump to cut federal funding to states with sanctuary cities. Ferguson highlighted Washington's $16 billion budget shortfall and reliance on $43 billion in federal funds, which make up 28% of the state budget. He defended the Keep Washington Working Act saying it complies with federal law and prioritizes law enforcement resources. Ferguson vowed to fight any unlawful withholding of funds for critical services like Medicaid, education, child welfare, urging the legislature to plan for ongoing federal threats. Now he's making the federal government out to be the bad guy. You know, we are the state of Washington. We are doing right. We are helping undocumented immigrants. They're working in our fields. They're productive citizens. We need this money for all the citizens of Washington, etc., etc. So the federal government's bad. The federal government says these people are criminals. They're illegal aliens. They're coming into our country uninvited, and we're not prepared to take care of them, and we should use our resources to help them, whereas the people who are here legally, the citizens of the United States, are being deprived of some of these resources. And they're both saying the same thing, but they're presenting it to the public in different ways. And so, rather than solve this problem, or at least address the problem correctly, we've got the President of the United States, who's an injustice-involved individual, going against folks that consider him a convicted felon. Just like Shakespeare wrote, "A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet." So you can give different names to these situations, and then you just cause new conflict because people are suddenly thinking, I don't want criminals living in my city. Whereas the city says these are not criminals, these are people that are in line to be processed and become productive American citizens. We're not addressing the problem. And the governor does list that we need the money, but he's not willing to compromise. Because the way the federal government is, you turn these people over so that we can handle them in the federal government, and you get your funds. The governor is more or less saying, I don't want to turn these individuals over, but I want the funds. And you would think it would be cut and dry, because if the federal government comes down with a law and the state doesn't follow it, they have a right to respond to that. And most likely it's to remove funds. And the states that do comply, they get their funds. And that could be one of the conditions. You want funds, you make sure that these undocumented immigrants are turned over to the United States government. Now, who's caught up in the middle of all of this? Well, for one thing, the people that are in the state in these sanctuary cities seeking asylum, and the citizens of the state. Do we want our governor doing that? Did we elect this person to be our president so that this practice could continue? Or did we elect them so that this practice could change? Now, I have heard a lot of stuff about state officials in the correction centers in the state of Washington. Sometimes when I hear things, I'll report them to law enforcement, and they'll go out and investigate, and they can clear it up in many cases. One thing that nobody's really going to deny, and that's that state officials do commit crimes. Public citizens commit crimes, state officials, federal officials. Crime has no gender, specific trait, no age, no religion, no racial background. Crime affects everybody across the board, and it's it doesn't distinguish between victims and the actual perpetrator. So let's face it. If you're going to talk about something that's not racial, not discriminatory, it's crime. And so when I was hearing things that were going on in the prison, contraband being smuggled in by the prison officials or human rights being violated, I could work with them on that. But if the officials threatened them or retaliated in other ways, it was tough to get anything through. And that's one of the things that deters people from reporting crime. Well, after talking with people and having some successes, and it's not a lot of great successes, but one or two successes here and there builds up a sense of confidence. And so I'm getting word of mouth where people are telling me about some of the problems they're having in there. And I'm able to get it out to you guys and get it out to some of the officials, like the American Civil Liberties Union. And we can get some action done on it. And with people that are locked up that look out and say there's no hope for them, even it's like being in a desert and you get a drop of water. It feels good, and it's just a small thing, and it's enough to motivate them to go on and to get them to speak out. Once we get them set up on the track, they can continue on down the line. Fortunately for me, this illegal activity stepped out of the prison and into my life. So I've personally experienced illegal activity going on within the prison. So I have resources that I can go to that I've picked up by learning working with them, and that I know about from my own experiences out here. We as people outside of prison have a better opportunity of fighting crime than the people who are locked in the prison under the control of the people who are actually committing that crime. I don't know why we have to dumb down the crime or change the name, sweeten it up a bit. If we got to figure out a way that we can show people that crime is in the prison and continues in the prison and will continue until we do something about it. And to say that they committed a crime on the outside, we expect them to commit crimes on the inside, they just need to be locked up tighter, or we need to build more prisons to put more people in there to keep them away. And we're teaching people that this works when we haven't seen any record of it. Yes, crime is going down, but it's not going down because we're locking up more people. We're educating people. We're showing a little more compassion. The social media, a person could commit crime and their photo on surveillance camera or cell phone camera could be posted all over the world. And in some cases, somebody will recognize the person. And when they were attacking Teslas, there's cameras on the Teslas that they set up a security camera when the people park them and leave. And so you can see faces, you can see the clothing, any objects the people are carrying. And that's one of the things that helps us cut back on crime. We're actually being more vigilant. We're filming things. We're observing things. We're reporting things. And that's good. But to do what the federal government and what the state of Washington are doing, I don't know. It seems kind of silly. What kind of example is the governor showing to the people who are locked up? These folks are saying, we are being mistreated in here, and you're sugarcoating this crime. You're relaying to the public that we deserve this kind of treatment, that this is what goes with the territory of being in prison. And we knew what was going to happen when we committed the crime. We committed this crime, we knew the consequences, and we should accept it. That's a contradiction right there. You don't fight the federal government because you're protecting your people, you feel that what the federal government is doing is wrong, and then turn around and treat the citizens in the state as if their opinion doesn't matter, their suffering doesn't matter, and the resources that they need should just be stripped from them because they're locked up. We've got these people going to sanctuary cities, hiding there. Some of them are criminals, they're gang members. They go in there, they're hiding. They're treated like their neighbor. And maybe they'll stop their crime. Maybe that's all they need. It does work in some situations. But what kind of message is the governor showing people? Is he thinking about what he's saying? That he's going to fight this bad decision from the federal government? Wait till I bring my lawsuits up against the state of Washington. Will they be able to justify the way they treated me? And when I can get some of these folks that are locked up, I can get their stuff out to the public, are they going to be able to justify how they treated them? If you're going to demand perfection from somebody, you have to give it. You have to be a perfect person before you demand people to be perfect around you. The best leaders are the ones who lead by example. And one of the things I'm noticing out there is we're not getting good examples. They expect way more than they give. And we need to up the ante. If we're paying these people, if we're electing these people to serve us, we have a right to expect good, excellent performance. And we expect them to listen to us. And they're not going to do this unless we keep banging on that drum. We keep reminding them. If we go and say sanctuary cities are bad on Monday, and then come Wednesday, we're concerned about the environment, and then on Friday, that climate change, we're concerned about that. How is this roller coaster ride going to help? We're moving all over the place. I know for a while abortion is a big thing. Another time gun control is a big thing. Then another time vaccinations are another thing. We need to focus on something. I concentrate on prison reform, advocating for the prisoners. I'm not going to switch over to abortion. And I'm certainly not going to switch over to our potholes in the roads. We elect people to do that, and they need to stick with that. And the governor, he's concerned about the budget. So am I. I think the penal system is a big waste of money. And he needs to sit and talk with people. He needs to have town hall meetings, maybe. And when people write to their legislators, they should be able to get responses from them. They shouldn't be ignored. And we shouldn't allow our government officials to just change horses in the middle of the street. Find something, focus on it. identify the problem, work on ways to fix it, and if it can't be fixed immediately, at least get somebody on it that will stick with it so we can move to something else. And right now, crime needs to be defined. We need to know what crimes are being committed and how we can address each one of them. Saying that the federal government is being unlawful and that the people deserve these funds and the state deserves to keep doing what it's doing without compromise, that's unrealistic. And we're not going to get anywhere. With the Department of Corrections, we need to let people know that leaving it the way it is, nothing's going to improve. We're not going to get anywhere. We got to open it up, we got to expose it, and we got to address the issue and stick with it. And I hope you talk to your family and friends and your neighbors, community leaders, about a problem that you would like addressed. And rather than just complaining about it, we're losing a lot of money on building new roads. You can come up with a solution. Okay, that's what you're saying is the problem. How do we fix it? You write to your legislators and say, I've got a problem with drug activity in my community. We need more funds to get more police officers. We need more rehabilitation centers. We need more advocates. We need clinics. Come up with a solution. If you just complain, it's not going to get anything solved. And if you're talking to your coworkers and community leaders, try to come up with a solution, because it's more effective if you list the problem that you've well identified and then you come up with several recommendations. People are more likely to listen to you, and you can get it out quicker. Bob Ferguson complaining, to me, it really is not helping me. But if he can say what he offers for this sanctuary city, and the federal government listens to that, and maybe says, okay, let's sit down and discuss this, I would feel a whole lot better. But I'm pretty sure within a week or two, we're going to be talking about something else. And this is not going to be solved. We got people sitting in prison who are innocent. They want to be heard. We're moving on to other problems. Years can go by. The people I'm going to be working with have been sitting in there for over a decade. Why? Why not address these things right away? Well, hopefully, we all learn something from all of this, and we can get out and make a change. It's within our power. Thanks for tuning in, and please let your voice be heard and come up with some good solutions, or at least recommend something that you feel could make things better in your community, because that's important. Well, go out and have yourself a beautiful day and make fantastic memories for tomorrow.